And good morning, everyone, and welcome to Association Live here from Memorial Stadium. And we've got a great guest to start off the day here. My name's Aaron Harrell, Kurt Simic, and 50-year letter winner, Forrest Gray. Forrest, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. Been a great weekend.
Good. How was the dinner last night?
Fabulous. Associated did a tremendous job. Seeing all the athletes I haven't seen since I graduated in 75. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. It's been an incredible weekend.
You, as a native of Bloomington, have some special connections before and since your time here, along with some fellow 50-year honorees. Tell us about your background growing up, and which I'm assuming led you to IU anyway.
Well, what led me to IU was when I was 5 years old, an Indiana basketball game was coming on TV, and my dad said we had to run to the store, and I refused to go, but I went with him anyway. And we were actually going to the game at the Hyper Building. He didn't tell me, surprised me, but it's just in my blood. I had opportunities to go other places on scholarship. I turned them down, and I walked on at IU.
Now, last night you mentioned some influence of classmates, teammates, and especially coaches. Tell us about your experience with coaches.
Well, my high school coach, who's pretty much a legend in Indiana, we won the state championship every year I was in high school. I was in the state finals in 1970. Coach Blueball at Indiana University, who gave me the opportunity to represent Indiana in athletics. May rest in peace. He was an Olympic champion. And actually, he was a Bob Knight of wrestling coaches. It didn't matter if you had a dislocated finger. If you called timeout, we'll just put it in your mouth and put it back in place and keep going. I mean, he was in Little League coaches. I played Little League here. I played Babe Ruth here. Went to Bloomington High School before there was the North. Indiana's in my blood.
How have you stayed connected, not only with your wrestling teammates, but your classmates overall?
Yeah, we do that a lot on Twitter, text. Mm-hmm. My best friend growing up was a wrestler here as well, and he lives in Bloomington, so we've always stayed in touch text-wise and talked to each other on the phone.
That's awesome. I've got a question. What's some of the top memories you have from that 72, 73, 74, 75 seasons?
Well, actually, it's kind of funny, but one of the big memories I have is going to Iowa City on a Friday night to wrestle Iowa. Back then, they won the Big Ten, 18 years in a row or something like that. Dan Gable was the coach there. And seeing 15,000 fans in the old Iowa field house. It wasn't what Carver Hawkeye now. 15,000 fans on a Friday night kind of blew me away.
Right.
But going to the Big Ten and Big Ten championships, I think we all know the Big Ten dominates college wrestling.
Yes, they do.
So, we wrestled against some extremely good teams and extremely good people that I had to compete against.
Yeah. Have you been to matches in Wilkinson?
I have not. I live in South Georgia now.
Okay. I
have a home in Bloomington still.
Okay.
I come up I think this is my 7th time this year.
Oh, awesome.
But, but I have seen it, and it's amazing. We wrestled at Assembly Hall in front of 75 people. And it didn't make sense, but that's where we were.
That's where the facility was.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome. Kirk, any questions?
If you could give a message to sum up your experience for all those looking out there, there are several of your contemporaries, your friends, your teammates.
Okay.
What sums it up? What makes this place so special for you?
Oh, for me, just it was born in me. To be perfectly frank, my freshman year, I want to go get a job because all my buddies had new cars, but I was here, so I graduated. But just going to the library at 9 o'clock at night and studying and getting a degree from here means more to me than it's in the top 5 things in my lifetime that's ever happened to me. And I've had a lot of good things happen. So, athletically and scholastically. I got emotional last night in the speech. It's hard to explain. When you're born and bred here and you've been a fan for 60 years or 65 years or you're 70 years on this earth, I mean, it's hard to explain. It really is. But I don't think there's a bigger fan of Indiana University than me. There may be some equal, but I don't think there's any better.
That kind of sums it up.
Yeah, it does.
What a great way to kick us off this morning. Appreciate your time last night and today.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the game. Have a prediction for today, or don't want to get into that today?
I have a prediction, but I don't really. 42-14.
Okay.
I'm not going to say who's going to win.
That's fine. Are you going to the game?
Of course.
Good.
Got to go on the field.
We'll see you down on the field
That's
at halftime.
right.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's right. But everybody, thanks so much for
Thanks,
everything.
everybody.
And thanks for being such a great fan for Indiana University.
Thank you, guys.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with our next guest in just a couple minutes. Stick with us. And welcome back here. Next guest came in pretty quick, which is good. We like to keep this show rolling. Steve Gobert, welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. Explain to us who you are.
Well, I played football here back in '69 to '73. I'm originally from Bloomington, Indiana, and also played baseball and loved IU, and it was a great place to come to college.
Awesome. What football player, what position?
I was a linebacker, and I was one of those gentlemen that ended up I started at guard and then moved to defensive end and then to linebacker, and could be because it was hard to find the right position for me.
They call that versility now.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Or lack of skill. One, I don't know.
No, that's versatility in my book. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Why IU? I know you're from Bloomington, but why IU?
Well, IU was always a big influence, even as a young kid. Growing up in Bloomington, one of the most powerful things about growing up here is you're surrounded by former athletes that played here, and their influence on you is tremendous. Growing up, some of my friends that I went to school with, Danny Grossman, his dad played here, and Bill Armstrong, his father was affiliated with the university and also was in athletics here as well, and Dan Drow, his dad was associate athletic director, and then I can go back to when I went to the boys club. There was a young man at that time, Mel Branch, that played football here at IU. That was a big influence. He's the first person to bring out weights. He had some mats and stuff at the boys club, so there were just a lot of positive influences. And my high school coaches, Fred Huff played here as well, and then I had a wrestling coach, Kay Hutzel, that wrestled here and played football. And so all those people were powerful influences upon me, and were also factors in why I went into teaching and coaching. In fact, John Pont offered me a scholarship, and my friends that were also being recruited, Charlie Burns and Dan Grossman, kind of said, "You're kind of crazy," because the day he offered me the scholarship, I said yes. They were waiting around and looking at other universities. I immediately told them yes.
Awesome.
One thing I really like to ask you about now, as a wrestler and a football player, describe, if you would, the way strength training was approached during your day. You had some legendary Hall of Fame iconic coaches, but at both levels.
Yes.
How did they view conditioning back then, and what do you see as the differences now?
Big difference. Well, Fred Huff, we had weights at Bloomington High School. We had a hallway that was converted to a weight room. It was one of those, like a bridge to nowhere. We had a hallway at Bloomington South to nowhere. and we had a lot of it were homemade weights and concrete and that type of thing. And then there was a balcony at Bloomington South that the wrestling team used during the season. And Coach Hutzel was a big advocate of weightlifting. And because another person that was a big influence I didn't mention was Howard Brown, and his son Bill and I were very good friends, and we actually would get the key to the IU weight room, and we'd come over here as well. But weightlifting then versus now, no comparison. We had kind of a basement dungeon here, and the weight training's totally different. I had a huge interest in it at that time.
Yeah, and you said you played two sports, baseball and football here.
Yes.
How was that experience for you?
Well, it was difficult because my freshman year, Coach Pont said, you're doing spring ball. Freshmen were ineligible their freshman year to play, but freshman year I did spring ball and couldn't be on the baseball team. And then my sophomore year, I made the squad, went down to Texas for the spring, and then Coach Pont said, "Hey, you're kind of in the running right now at defensive end," and he requested that I come to spring ball, and I did, and so I started thinking later on what a message I sent to the baseball coaches that I had to leave and go to spring ball. And then my junior year, I played the complete year, and then actually my senior year, they cut down the travel squad, and there was a guy, another football player, that was ahead of me as a starter at catcher, Ken St. Pierre, and so Coach Andres asked me if I would be the JV baseball coach because I was interested in being a coach later on, and so that's what I did. I coached the JV baseball team my senior year.
Awesome.
Okay. And don't ask about the record because I don't even recall.
That's okay. That's okay.
That's all right. That's all right.
Beyond IU, where did IU launch you to? I guess what degree and what did you do immediately after graduation?
Well, immediately after graduation, my first year was I coached at Edgewood High School, just west of town here, and coached football and wrestling. And then the next year I moved to Columbus North, and that's where I've resided ever since. Loved Columbus North. Was a great place to coach. And by the way I ended up there, talking about the power of the Iman and stuff, Bill McKay,
Absolutely.
played in the Rose Bowl, and he had heard my name from Steve Helmick, who I played football with here, as a possible replacement. Steve Helmick had moved to, I think, Richmond High School at that time. But anyway, he was Bill's former assistant. And so Bill was looking for a coach, and he called out of the blue. And anyway, I ended up at Columbus North because of that connection. And what a great person he was to work with.
Awesome. Are you still teaching and coaching?
I've been retired now 11 years.
Well, good for you.
And was a wonderful experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything, but
Retirement's
it
good,
wasn't
right?
hard to slide into retirement either.
And the Bulldogs did beat my Cougars last night, by the way. That was
Yeah,
in Conference Indiana action.
It was a close game.
Scored a lot of
They
points.
came back. Yeah, 48. What was it? 48.
48-42, maybe.
48.
Yeah, that's a
42.
team Bedford does not play, so I'm a
Oh,
B&O grad, so that's
Well, I have a relative that Jeff Callahan.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
He was my football coach in high
Okay,
school.
okay,
Yeah, back in
yes,
the day
yeah.
when he coached. He doesn't do that anymore,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, he's coaching baseball, isn't he?
he's coaching baseball and athletic director.
okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so,
We-
but, go
we
ahead.
love hearing this from everybody we talk to. Sum it up. Your experience, your feeling, connecting after all these years, reconnecting and maintaining all that. What makes it IU?
Well, what a great campus, number one. And once again, I have a totally different experience because I can remember I grew up here, as I've shared before here, but as a kid, I can remember riding my bike over to this chemistry building and walking into the chemistry building, probably 10, 11 years old, and I had a friend that worked in the storage room and would give me flasks, beakers, test tubes, and I had the best chemistry set around. And I just loved the university, and I'd go over to the Hyper building. In fact, when I got my job in Columbus, I met one of the coaches at a junior high, and he says, "Yeah, I remember you." And I could tell it wasn't a favorable memory. And I said, "How do you remember me?" And he said, "I used to kick you out of the Hyper building all the time, and you'd come back in." and so just the people here at IU, I think, are really special. And people here at IU have reached out. And, I'm kind of sometimes reserved about coming to social things. And some people reached out to come to this 50-year reunion, and I've loved it.
Well, we're happy you did.
Well, I'm happy I did too.
What's your prediction today?
Hey, Hoosiers all the way.
You got to be positive, right?
Right,
you go.
absolutely.
You got the number 4 team in the country coming in
Yeah.
here, and
Yeah,
and hopefully we've got a good game plan and good.
yeah.
We play well. That's
And I will say this is a team that doesn't quit.
you're right.
Absolutely.
You're right.
They
You've seen
keep
it in the
fighting
fourth
through.
quarter
Yeah.
many times throughout the year,
Yeah.
especially with this team.
Yes.
Yep.
Just enough.
Yeah. Well, thank you
Okay.
so
Thank
much
you.
for everything.
Thank you for your time.
Enjoy the weekend.
Yes.
And enjoy the game today.
Thanks, Steve.
Will do. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks so much. We'll be right back with another guest. We'll be back. And again, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. We're just searching for our next guest here, but we'll be back in just a minute. And welcome back here to iAssociation Live. We have fellow iAssociation board member Nancy Miller.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Happy Saturday, football Saturday.
happy football
Beautiful,
Saturday from
beautiful
right
day.
here. That's right. It is beautiful.
And it's not windy. It's not as cool as I thought it would be.
That's right.
And we're
It's not-
out here having a great time.
Blistering hot. You know, it is October, but
Well, we have honored our 50-year iWinners.
Yes.
You're at 25.
I am
You're at
25.
Tell us what brought you to IU.
My dad started bringing me to football games when I was 9 or 10 years old. So there was no other school on my radar. It was IU all the way. And actually, I played whatever sport was in season growing up. And then swimming was kind of my forte, I would say. But I had never picked up a water polo ball. And came to IU, played club soccer my freshman year. And one of my teammates on my soccer team, her roommate was the water polo captain, and she found out I swam, so she's like, you should try out for water polo. I'm like, what's that?
yeah, there you
So
go.
it was really kind of just a fluky thing. Never thought I would play sports in any kind of college realm, much less a Big Ten school, much less IU. And so it was a club sport my first 2 years, and then it became a varsity sport my junior year, and I ended up playing for 1 year, so it was awesome.
That's awesome.
But, yeah.
Go
What'd you
ahead.
do afterward? After you graduated? Degree?
I have a sports marketing and management degree, business minor. I wanted to work for hockey. That was my passion. I did my internship with the Indianapolis Ice when they were in the IHL at the fairgrounds my senior year in college, and then went out to Arizona, and then I went to Michigan. And 2.5 years later, got out of hockey, and I've been in healthcare for 21 years.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome.
yeah, kind of a shift, but it
That's
was a
okay,
good thing.
yeah.
It was a good
Why
thing.
hockey?
Again, from being from Indiana, we don't have water polo, we don't play hockey, so I get into
That's right.
sports
There's two
that
sports
are
there that we don't
yeah.
see very often.
But it was something that my dad introduced me to.
Right.
I would go to hockey games here at IU down at the Frank, which is still there, shockingly enough.
Yes.
It's beautiful now. But no, I just always, again, it was something a little different, and I don't know. It was just, I don't know. It just was my calling. But now I get
you followed your dream. You
did.
You did work in that.
I did, and they always said we wouldn't make any money, that the athletes make all the money, and that was true. It was a lot of work for very little pay,
Yeah.
but I enjoyed it and had a blast. But now it was kind of nice. When I got out of it, I shifted, and my main thing was I can actually afford to go to a game, and I get to sit and enjoy a whole game.
That's right.
And not have to
You
run
don't
around
have to work.
working.
That's
so
right.
it's a whole different experience.
You don't have
when
one
you
of
do
these
that.
on. You don't. It's right.
Right, yeah,
And
it's
then
not,
we
oh,
make
oh,
you come out
gosh.
here and do it again.
No, I got to watch it for 2 seconds, and then I have to run and take care of something. So
That's right.
No, it's enjoyable. I enjoy watching the games now. So,
good.
Yeah.
This weekend, everyone we've talked to so far, last night and today, are just so thrilled to be back. Some of them haven't seen each other since they left campus. And just what does this sort of thing mean to you?
So I've been on the board since I think 2019. So this was we missed 1 year, so this is my third 50-year reunion, and this is my favorite reunion of the year, or gathering, I guess, with the awards, dinners, things like that. just to hear the stories, like you said, the people who haven't seen each other in 50 years. It's just neat to hear everybody's little snippet of where they came from, where they are now, what it meant to be here. And I didn't hear one person last night say they regretted coming to IU. I mean, it was a good decision.
And their families and their future
Yes.
in-laws and
Yeah.
their children who
their
have gone
kids
IU.
come here.
So
Their
proud.
grandkids come here.
That's
I mean,
right.
it's definitely a rolling tradition for sure.
Last night was really special for everybody. I think everyone kind of hit it on the head, is that this is a place that could not be a wrong choice.
Yes. No. Bloomington's beautiful. Come on.
That's right.
Now, that wasn't so bad, was it?
It wasn't.
We've been chasing her for
I
3
know.
weeks now. We're glad. Nancy, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us, and we'll go try to pull somebody else in for our next segment.
Yeah. Go
That's
Hoosiers.
right. Go Hoosiers. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Aaron.
All
Appreciate
right.
it. Thanks, Kurt.
And we'll be back. And welcome back here to iAssociation Live. Got a great guest here, Roger Burr, Lieutenant Colonel. Is that right?
Yep. Yes, Lieutenant Colonel of the United States Air Force, retired.
Retired.
Proudly.
Good for you.
Proudly.
Well, thank you for your service, first off. Thank you for
Absolutely
everything.
my pleasure. Ironically, it got started here at Indiana. I got drafted,
Okay.
and I joined the Navy. Was an enlisted man. Wanted to fly, so I came back to Indiana, finished up, got my degree, and then went back in the Navy. Flew the A6 Intruder till 1981. Was in a non-flying related accident, and the Navy said, "Well, we can use the supply officer." I said, "No, I'd rather be a line officer." So I resigned my commission there. Went into the Air Force Reserves, did that for 5 years. Ironically, the 5 years I was a deputy sheriff in Columbus, Ohio. So I got to work a lot of Ohio State football games as a deputy sheriff, and every time Indiana would come into town, it was funny. The Ohio State, we're gonna beat Indiana, we're gonna crush them, and I'd flip the lapel of my collar up, and I'd have an IU sticker, and they'd all clam up. So, but then I went back in the Air Force in '86, and then retired in 2011.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank
Yes,
you.
my pleasure. My pleasure. It's good to be back. You know, in my many travels in the military, and this is a plug for Knicks. I would look wherever I would go. I was in Iran in '74. I was in Hong Kong, Japan, England. I'd look for a Philly steak sandwich like Knicks.
Right.
Nothing came close.
Nothing came. That's awesome.
Nothing came close. And I can honestly tell the owners of Knicks, I searched the world.
Couldn't find
There are
anything
very
like
few
it.
can actually
No.
probably say that. Put the mileage in that
That's
you did.
right. That's
yeah,
right.
without a doubt, But it's great to be back here. I call this Valhalla.
Yeah.
You know, this is where people come to go. I almost convinced my wife to move here. We live in Virginia Beach. We're right on the water. Almost had her convinced because we have grandkids in Cincinnati. And she says, well, does it snow? I said, well, it does. She goes, nope. So she nixed that quickly.
Yeah.
Nixed that quickly.
Well, tell us about your time here at IU.
Okay. Played for Coach Pont. I was the class of 1973. Ironically, my whole tenure here at Indiana, I was the only football player west of the Mississippi.
Really?
And I was from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. You know.
Not very far past this.
No, no. 20 miles north of the university. I was all city, all conference, all state. I had my choice of schools. My dad was an alum from Indiana. And my senior year, they invited me to the Iowa game at Iowa. We watched the game and went down in the locker room afterwards. And it's funny because I shared this story last year at our 50-year anniversary. And Jake Van Scoik was my recruiter. He was the running backs coach. Wonderful individual. And Jake's taking me around, and I meet Coach Pont and meet some of the other coaches and a couple of the players. Well, we walk up to one, and it's Steve Applegate. And I'm shaking hands with Steve. He's got a towel around him. He's sweating from the game. And I said, what position do you play? And he said, I'm the center. And I'm 6'5", and Steve and Harry Gonzo would probably have a who's taller contest. And he said, I'm the center. And I looked and I said, you're the center? And he just smiled and was the consummate professional. Well, fast forward, my freshman year at Indiana, Howard Brown was our coach. Gunnar walks in the locker room. He goes, men, gather around. Gunnar always called us men. He said, gather around, men. You're facing the varsity today. Mike Folk, who ended up playing with the 49ers, broke down and cried. We're looking at each other, and we're going to die. We're going to die. So we get up to the hill. I was one of the starting defensive tackles with Bill Geiger, and Bill and I are lined up, and I'm looking at him, and he's looking at me, and his eyeballs are as wide as tennis balls. And Harry breaks the huddle, and they come up, and Steve Applegate gets at center, and he looks at me and goes, remember me? The play went, Steve probably drove me 10, maybe 15 yards. Drove me right into the ground. I'm looking up. He's standing over, hand extended, and he said, "Welcome to Indiana University." Like I said, I shared that last year at the 50-year I winner. I've not seen Steve since. I owe him an apology, but that was as welcome to the Big Ten,
Right.
as you possibly could be.
What a story.
Yeah. And then played for John Pont, came in as a defensive tackle, but we had injuries. I moved from defensive tackle. I was center. I was an offensive tackle, and at one point a linebacker. The linebacker experiment lasted a week. I was big and I was fast, but I didn't have the headhunter mentality that
Right.
Mike Falk and Robbie Spicer had back then. I was more down in the trenches, so most of my time was center, tackle on both offense and defense. So that was my time here at Indiana. Another fond memory, 71. It was Mike Phipps? Threw a football at Coach Pont, and we had the brawl. And, I mean...
we heard about that earlier this year.
Yeah, the IU Marching 100 got into it with Purdue's largest band in the world. They're fighting, we're fighting. It was a cold day here in Bloomington, and we had the long coats. We go in the locker room, and you would have thought we won a national championship, because it was the only time when I was here at IU that we beat Purdue. And we're celebrating, and I'm standing right next to Marshall McCullough. He's still got his trench coat on. And I said, "Marshall." And he opens his coat up and pulls out a Purdue helmet. We think it was Otis Armstrong's. It was a running back's helmet. But he held that up, and I mean, the locker room went crazy.
Great.
Oh, I mean, Coach Pont, God love him. You know, he had the biggest smile on his face. And, and of course, Marshall took it over there and held it up. I hope he still has it.
That was going to be my next question is where's that helmet today?
I would hope that Marshall kept it. I mean, there were all kinds of stories that some enterprising IU students were going to go up to Purdue and fake a bill of sale and get the band or the drum and bring it down to IU. And of course, IU back then had the lying in state of Juan Purdue. The ROTC guys would stand guard on him, and he would lay in state, for the week too. Some crazy times. One of the funnier ones, we're getting ready to play Michigan State, and the week leading up to it, we come out on the field, and Steve Canfield, we called him Flex. He was a guard. If Flex was 6 foot, he was 5'10", and he was a block. And to come out to represent Michigan State, Flex had pads on his hands, on his forearms, on his upper arms. He had a neck brace. He had pads here on both of his legs, just to signify that this is going to be tough and that these guys are going to be bad. And because we had a 3-game winning streak with Michigan State going into that game in 1970. So, 71, a good year. We won a couple of games. Some good memories. Probably the biggest would have been the Purdue.
Right. Yeah. Those are some stories right there. I mean, I would love to see that,
And we got to follow up on that helmet if anybody's willing to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the reason we do this, and this is everything, and hosting reunions of all kinds, is to connect people. And you had a discovery at our golf outing last spring. And,
last summer, yeah.
And which shows the value of these types of. Why don't you describe that?
Oh, yeah. I came across a guy. His name's Steve Maston. He was a tight end from Ohio. And he was a couple years behind me. And, we started talking, and all of a sudden he goes, well, he said, well, kind of remember you. And I said, Steve, I'm sorry, I don't. And, but like I said, he was a year or two behind me. And we became fast friends at the golf outing. And then when we were doing an interview with you folks, and Steve said, this is interesting. We were teammates but didn't know each other. And, and I kind of hang my head a little bit on that. But I sit back and think, there are some guys that I vividly remember. But I'll remember Steve Maston. I know he made a career at Wendy's as an executive there, which I thought, and we talked about that in his time in Ohio. But, yeah, the golf outing, I've seen several guys from my same class showed up, and one guy I hadn't seen in 50 years.
Right.
And it just made for a great day.
That's
the golf
awesome.
outing is always fun. We always have a good time. Brian Brassey, Mark Deal, the Eye Association, those guys, they put out the red carpet. They absolutely kind of makes me wish I was 20 years old again.
That's right. That's right.
And
Don't
even
we all?
Even at my size now, I would be small compared to
Those guys are big.
Yeah,
They are.
I mean, there was only one other player on the team bigger than me. That was Timmy Roberson. I was 6'5", 260, and Timmy was 6'7", and about 310. He was a big boy. He was from Male High School in Louisville.
Yeah. Now they're all that size, or
Yeah.
bigger.
Quarterbacks are that size.
Yeah. I used to work the chains on the sidelines here, and man, I'm 5'9". I don't.
Okay.
I'm a short guy, but man, those guys are,
Yeah.
they can pick me up and just move me if they need to.
After I got out of sports, I got into officiating college football and wrestling. I did get to do a game here at Indiana. I was the TV timeout guy back in the 90s, Missouri and Indiana, which was fun. I mean, to come back, I worked a lot of Big Ten and wrestling, did a lot of spring games in football and so on, but yeah, got around the Big Ten. Came down to Indiana and refereed multiple times for wrestling, but the one time was Missouri IU. It was in the rain, and it was ESPN. I had to work with the sideline reporter.
Right.
Yeah, and she wasn't prepared for rain that particular day. But by and large, I have some of the greatest memories of IU. They're firmly entrenched. It was a great experience. Other than my time in the military, I would have to say my time at Indiana University was the best of my life. The people, the students, the university. I even met Dr. Wells. Had a chance to talk with Dr. Herman Wells.
Huh.
And and there are a lot of people now, they're all my age or older, can say that, but I had a chance to sit down and chat with Herman Wells, and it was an enlightening experience.
I bet.
So,
Well, that's quite
Yeah.
the YIU story.
yeah.
And thank you for
Exactly.
relating that because it means so many. Even people
My
who aren't
pleasure.
able to come around to these. We invite you to join us on platforms like this.
Sure.
Stay in touch with the Athlete Network, and you never know who you're going to be next to at a golf outing.
Oh, without a
right.
doubt.
And-
Without a doubt. And kind of a side note, a claim to fame, according to all my friends, from 1989 to 2007, I was a competitive bodybuilder when I left Indiana. And I got the opportunity to train with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, when I was a cop in Columbus, Ohio, I met Arnold's business partner. And when they started the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic, which is held every year in Columbus, I was part of the security detail from 1989 to 2007.
Oh wow.
And, it's kind of my claim to fame is I was Arnold Schwarzenegger's bodyguard. And, it was funny. I was single at the time, was dating a young lady from Washington, D.C., and we're talking on the phone, and she goes, "How do you know Arnold?" And she was a part-time actress. I said, "How do you know about that?" She said, "Well, I Googled you, and you showed up with him." So that is kind of my non-IU claim to fame.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
You just never know.
You just never know. That's right.
Thank you
That's
so
right.
much,
Yeah.
Roger, for sharing
Thank
your
you
time
so
with
much
us.
for
My
everything.
pleasure.
Great to see you.
And
So
thank
great.
you for your service. Thank you for everything you've done for Indiana, and we appreciate it.
My absolute pleasure, and I want to say to everybody out there, go Hoosiers.
Thank you very much, and we'll be right back with our next guest. Everybody, stick around. And welcome back here. Got another great guest here. I'm going to let Kurt introduce this guest.
Many of you out there are among those who are under the mistaken impression that the most dynamic football player ever out of Terre Haute North was one Anthony Thompson. I'm here to tell you, David Booty Stewart, who is not only the most dynamic, but is president-elect of the Eye Association. And welcome. Thanks for we finally chased you down.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. But
I'm gonna put this
Anthony
a
will
little
tell you,
closer.
Anthony and I went to the same high school. And I went there obviously before he did and set a few records in football. But he broke every one of them except for one. And I tease him about it to this day. I was a running back, and I had the record for 5 fumbles in a game, and he never broke that record. So
Well, you
Live
still
forever.
got it, though, right?
Live forever.
You still got it, right?
Still got
or
it.
somebody.
still got it. Still got it.
That's good.
So-
That's good.
But thanks for having me.
What brought you to IU? You got a great story. We heard it at one of these events a few years ago. But again, what was your road to Bloomington?
Well, I was looking at several schools, Michigan State, had recruited me, and, Missouri and, other schools, Purdue, of course, and IU. And I really was giving Purdue some serious thought. And my mother at the time was an extension agent for Purdue. And what the extension agents did, they went around and they had a program called Commodities where they would give food to low-income people. So my mother would go around and show these people how to use that food, how to make different things with it and stuff like that. So when I was going through the process of trying to decide where to go, I had an excellent visit down here. First of all, Walter Booth, who played for us, showed me around, and it was a great visit. And So while I'm going through the process, Mom comes home one day and says that Purdue killed the program for stitching agents, so I'm fired. I'm out of a job. And I thought, they didn't give you any kind of warning? She said, no, I went in there every day and they said, you don't have a job. So I said, well, forget Purdue. I'm not going to go there. And I made it my mission to try and do everything I could against Purdue, and the best way to do it was down here. So Lee Corso was coming from Chicago and was coming down 41, I guess, called my mom and said, hey, I'm near Terre Haute. Can I come by? Mom said, well, we're eating dinner. Lee says, well, can I come by? She said, sure. Man, he pulled up in there and she gave him we had some smothered pork chops, mashed potatoes, biscuits. He was sitting there. And I'm thinking, this man eats more than me. But they had a good conversation, and he told her, he said, hey, you send your son to IU. We'll take care of him. He'll get a degree. And that was it for her. And then when I came visit, I really liked it too. So,
Right.
Great institution, and have had no regrets. No regrets. So then I got my undergrad, and then I went out there, worked for 10 years, and then I decided I think I want to go to law school. So I had all this information. People tell me, oh, apply here, apply here, apply here. But I had a thing, my deal was, if you don't get into IU, you don't deserve to go. So I only applied to IU law school, got accepted, and the rest is history. So been enjoying it ever since. Got invited to join the Eye Association back in the day, and have been there ever since, and love it. Absolutely love it. Get the opportunity to welcome back all these players and everybody, and it's a blessing, is what it is.
That's awesome. And you still practice law?
Still practice law. I'm the general counsel for a state agency called the Indiana Housing and Community Development Authority. What we do is we help develop low to moderate income housing for people.
Awesome.
And and we give out tax credits. We have a mortgage foreclosure prevention program that if people are having problems paying their mortgage, they can apply to us. We can help them out with that. And we were the biggest distributor in the state for that CARES Act rental assistance money. So our job is to help people, just like my job is here with the Eye Association.
Yeah, just help people. That's what it's all about, helping people.
Yeah.
Public service. You've worked as a prosecutor.
I worked
And
as a prosecutor for the Attorney General's office. I used to run be the section chief for the non-medical licensing section. And so what we used to do was make sure that everybody who had a license, I'm talking about realtors, appraisers, architects, engineers, and all those people, were properly licensed and all that. And if not, I had to file charges against them. So I did that, and that was really interesting. That's when Steve Carter was the Attorney General. And Steve Carter's attitude was, work with them if you can. If you can't, then we have to go after them. So that was awesome.
Yeah, well, tell us about your football days here.
Well, I was what you call a utility player. Okay, so you got guys like Anthony, who were stars. You got guys like Randall L. who were stars and all that. I was a utility player. My job was just to go in there and get the job done. And so I came down here as a running back, and that lasted 2 days. Lee Corso, he tricked me. He told me, he said, son, my athletes play defense. I mean, hell, I'm an athlete. So I got moved to, initially I got moved to linebacker, and then I got moved to defensive end. And in that position, I was like the outside linebacker or the fast linebacker.
Right.
I had backs out of the backfield and stuff like that, dropping pass coverage and all that. Totally enjoyed it. Like I said, I wasn't a star, but on a team, you only have so many stars anyway.
That's right.
But I felt that I did my job, which was to go out there and try to hurt somebody because they were trying to hurt me.
That's right, and that's part of that linebacker mentality.
Exactly.
Or that they're going to hurt you. You might as well hurt them, right?
Yeah, and Mike Woodson and I, it was really funny because that was the class of 76. So I came in that year, Woodson came in that year, Butch Carter came in that year, and we used to kind of like hang out and, be friends, whatever. And then Bobby made a decision that he didn't want his players hanging out with football players. And so, I still see him on campus and everything. And then I saw him at our last function that we had. and talked a little bit. So he invited me to a couple of games, and so we'll do that this fall. But it was just, I mean, the friends you make down here and the coaches, saw Coach Morrow up there and the coaches and everything. I mean, my daughter grew up down here, and everybody knows her now. She goes to Ball State, and everybody knows her. She'll come down here and be like, Alexis, Alexis. And they'll say hello to me before they say hello to her. And she's been coming down since she's 5 and she's 20 now.
That's awesome.
So it's a family atmosphere. It's a friend atmosphere. It's just great being down here and being a part of Indiana University.
Yep. And going to be the next president of the Eye Association.
Yes, I'll be the president of the Eye Association beginning in January of 24. Stacy has a 2-year term, and she's just finishing up her first year. And then I'll be taking over in January, and I'm really honored by that.
Yeah.
Really honored by that.
Yeah, I know. We love the board. I know Kurt does. I do.
It's a tremendous group of people, and they have one thing in common. We all love this place for our own reason, and
we all want to help people.
It's what keeps us bringing. You've made a career out of serving people, and that has to be something you learned early on.
From home, yep. My mom, that's what she did, and so all of us pretty much. There's me. There's I have 2 brothers who are firemen. I had a brother and a sister who were Marines. And they're both retired firemen now. I have a sister who worked for a hospital who's worked there for, 30 years or so. And then I have a younger brother who is taking care of my mom, who's in her older ages. So everybody it's built into you.
It is.
Yeah,
and
it is.
And you're afraid that if you don't, mom's going to slap you somewhere. That hand comes out. That hand comes out of nowhere.
That's right.
But I enjoy what I do, and I appreciate you guys. Appreciate you having me on here, and I appreciate being a part of this.
Yeah. What's your prediction for today?
Here's what I want to happen. I know our defense could play well. It's going to play well. I hope the offense gets off to a good start.
Right.
My prediction is Indiana 21, Michigan 17.
There you go. It's about to get loud a little bit here.
Is the band walking
We have some
this
alumni
way?
marching 100.
Oh, it is about to get loud. Yes.
21-17. Trust me on that.
Book it. Absolutely.
But, Booty, thank you so much for everything. We look forward to your
Thank you.
term.
Thank you.
And look forward to working with you in the future.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. We're going to take
you.
a break. Enjoy the sounds of the alumni marching 100. And welcome back to iAssociation Live. Got some teammates coming in here. And Brian, I'll let you introduce.
You'll give me the honor of
I'll
introducing
give you the yes.
Killer Nicks.
That's right.
And Brian
Yeah.
really is taller than this. We've just
Yeah, he's
got
on
to.
That's okay, but Sunder Nix is singularly the greatest athlete that I've ever known or been associated with, and his record speaks for itself.
Hold on.
44.67 400-meter time, school record, of course, and more than that, he was just an amazing teammate and friend to everybody on the team. You know, track is a kind of a different sport because you have disciplinaries. You have long distance runners, you have sprinters, you have hurdlers, you have throwers, you have jumpers, and a lot of times these groups go amongst themselves. But Sunder always made it a point to get to know everybody and be friends with everybody, and that was true leadership on his part. And it's my great honor to be with you and know you all these years, Sunder.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bros. That was a very warm welcome introduction. But however, you got to remember, on my first day at campus, you was the first gentleman that I met.
Right.
You was the one introducing me to the
hills,
university
and
life,
the
the
that's right.
hills, the academics.
Right.
What to expect from university, what to expect from Coach Bell, and
Exactly.
since then we've been probably best of friends. I'd say the last like 40 years or so.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
With you, man, it's just an honor with you. That's been a true friend, and that friendship will never end. But most important, we're brothers for life, teammates
That's
for
right.
life. And,
Teammates for life. And the proof's in the pudding with that. But that's right. I asked Coach Bell on the first day of fall practice, Coach, who's this hot shot from Chicago? And he said, that's the guy over there. And I looked at Sunder, and, you know, my first impression was, he doesn't look that big. You know, he doesn't look that But I went over to introduce myself. And we started following each other around, and, you know, we ended up being Coach Bell would always put me with the problem teammates on the road.
I resent that.
He would put me with the guys that like no one else would want to stay with. No, that's not true. But Sunder and I ended up being roommates, and then we had some pretty good wrestling matches.
We did too. And remember, Nick's 4, Brosy nothing.
That's too much. But what was your greatest memory? What was if you had one competition, one victory that really stands firm with you, or maybe it's a defeat that you remember more? What do you think about?
I would say the most important thing I learned about this university is the friendship that you develop with your teammates for years and years and years. I would say probably the greatest defeat the greatest defeat that I had here at Indiana University was I had a chance to go 8 for 8 in the 400 indoors and outdoors. I lost my sophomore year, and I lost my junior outdoor season. So that right there, that industry right there. But however, I came back and won my senior year, and we won the Big Ten title that year. And that right there, I think that right there, that race right there, those two races right there, really propelled me. And it really woke me up because I thought I was gooder than what I really was. And that race, it woke me up right there. And after that, I just trained hard. And Coach Bell and I, we had a meeting about what transpired during those time frames. And that's made me a better person. That's made me an all-around better person.
Yeah, you know, what's interesting to me is that you referenced Big Ten championship, but yet you ran in the Olympic Games. You finished 4th in the Open 400. You won a gold medal in the 4x4. You're a national champion. You won the sports festival with your PR in 1982. So did you go back to the Big Ten? Why is that?
Well, I think the Olympic team, you have to realize the Olympic team, that's once every 4 years. And during the time frame, for me, it worked out very well for me because I became a freshman in 1980. 84, so that right there, my training, it was right in sync with the Olympic Games that year. And I would say that the Olympic team is a tremendous team to be a part of, but I really enjoyed my 4 years at IU. I would say those right there, those 4 years at IU that I ran. I would say the Olympic team is truly an honor to be on that team, but I had to give my number one love was IU track and field those 4 years I competed here.
Well, and you are a huge Hoosier fan across the board. It's not just track. You care about the football team. You care about all the teams. Basketball, you're always calling me up saying, what do you think about this? What's going to happen there? When is he hurt? You know? I'm like, man, I don't know. But you're an awesome Hoosier fan.
I would say so. I would say all the sports teams when I was here, I always followed them, and maybe I did not get a chance to go on site to see them compete. But however, I followed all the teams, and that's all of them. So I'm a big IU fan from all the sports, and but most important, the friendships you made here. And God, I pray that God will continue to bless our athletic programs here because
Right.
we have world-class facility here, we have world-class coaches here, and everyone wants to make this Indiana University athletic program
Right.
the best program in the nation.
Right, that's fantastic. Well, you had a world-class coach when you were here. Talk about Coach Bell.
Well, Coach Bell, you know, the Coach Bell, the name speaks for itself. He has coached many Olympians, many Big Ten champions, many national champions. So, but I would say the most important thing about Coach Bell, I remember we always talked about me completing school and getting my degree and moving forward in life and being a good, productive citizen. And that right there, he, even though he's going to be with the Lord, I will always remember Coach Bell. As a matter of fact, when I came down here, I did not have a father. During that time frame, Coach Bell, he don't know he was my surrogate father in that time
Right.
frame. And my big statement, Coach Bell, I did not want to disappoint him.
Right. No question about it. That stuck with me a lot of times because I did disappoint him.
Every time I do it, often usually they get disciplined.
And so I know exactly what you mean about that what it weighs on you. I mean, he's disappointed, but then of course I didn't meet his expectations, and so that's rough. Do you guys have questions for Sandra?
No, that's not true. You did meet this expectation. You was a true gentleman. You showed leadership through the teams, and remember, you was a graduate assistant after I graduated. And right there, your experience right there, the years you was here before us, it really helped us. You really helped us. You really calmed us down, and you showed your leadership, and you showed your maturity as world class human being. But you really. That right there, that's been engraved in my long-term memory.
Yeah, my man. Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, what do you expect me to say? You're going to say we're friends forever, we're teammates forever. What I said about you, what I said with the most sincerity and from the bottom of my heart.
Right.
It's true.
I don't think we could ask for a better statement as far as the love for the university, what it's done for you, what you've done in return for it.
Yeah.
Nothing exemplifies what we like to call Hoosier spirit than this conversation we've just had. So thank you so much
you guys
for
are great
taking
for
the
having us,
time.
man. We appreciate it.
This is awesome.
I said we were going to sit down with Sandra. I said I got to sit here at
no.
least. At least maybe to
appreciate
try
it.
to explain what he's trying to say. But you don't know. He came out clear as a bell, man. It's amazing.
Our job is to let you happen and get out of the way.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Hey,
Yeah,
thank
no,
you very
we
much.
appreciate it.
Thank you
And
very
thank
much.
you for everything that you've done for Indiana. We appreciate it.
No, I think it goes both ways. You don't thank Indiana for everything it's done for me. It's really given me a better life. And I cannot ask for anything more like that. It's always go IU, love IU, and God make it turn the best IU athletics.
Here comes the marching 100.
Here we go. Good way to
it's
play
about
us,
to get
guys.
loud. Good time to end right there. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And Kurt,
Hey, that kind of sums it up, doesn't it?
it does. It
No
does.
better way to play us out than the Marching 100, and what a statement, what a sentiment. I think there are thousands of us who feel the same way, and that's
Yep, and we're going to watch the Marching 100 set up a new camera angle today,
Nice.
so you can watch the Marching 100 walk
and,
by.
and they're not in rain
But,
ponchos or anything like that.
Nope.
Josie Pace coming past on camera here with it.
Yeah, but Kurt, once again, can't thank you enough. No, we're about done. We're about done. Yeah, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, because we're going to head into the game. So, Kurt, any final thoughts here before we?
And I think that really summed up why we do this and why the people behind us come back. And we have such special weekends as we've just seen.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's just about the love for the institution and wherever it comes from. It just shows when we do stuff like this.
Yeah. And again, we'll thank all of our guests. And sorry we couldn't get to everybody. You know, it's just one of those weekends that you can't get to everybody.
Well, we'll give them another opportunity at
That's
another
right,
time,
that's
and
right.
we appreciate you checking out and telling your friends and family and alumni about the Athlete Network, and we'll be here again next weekend.
I think so.
That
Yeah.
sounds good to me.
Yeah. Yeah, but again, everybody, thanks so much for joining us. Kurt Simic, Aaron Harrell, and go Hoosiers today. Hopefully we can get the win today.
Let's do it.
All right, everybody. Everybody have a great weekend, and let's go Hoosiers.